Have you heard about the African proverb about eating an elephant? If not, let me ask you this question. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time? Well, we all knew that. But oh what? How much time does it take? What if someone steals the elephant? What if the elephant starts to decay? There's so many reasons why we fail eating the elephant. Not even one would dare to take the first bite. Today, I'm going to share the story about the elephant in my stomach. My name is Linus. I'm a travel blogger. Beginning 2016 until the last quarter of 2017, I spent 17 strict months riding a bicycle from Hong Kong all the way to South Africa. Yeah, South Africa. Sounds like crazy? Indeed, it is crazy, but not impossible. 3 years ago, I'm employed on a full-time job. One day, I went back home from work, and in my room, you will find a huge map. I was looking at the map for like half an hour. I'm just staring at it and recognized that the world is just one big piece of land from Asia to Europe to Africa. So why would I need to take a flight every time I travel? Can I use my own food to go to a far, far place like Cape of Good Hope, the furthest place in Africa? That's impossible, I said to myself. However, that idea has been planted in my heart like a seed that grew up day by day. I started to plan the trip with almost practically a well-thought route, visa preparation, immigration considerations, and above all, safety. After that, I decided to use my own bicycle for the journey. You know, cycling is a bit faster than walking. Well, you may think that I'm strong, fit, and good at sports, like an athlete. Well, to be honest, I'm not. I mean, I was not when I was young. I just didn't like moving at all. I rarely played any sports and any board games. And well, one thing is for sure though, I know how to ride a bicycle. But I just like everyone else, I ride my bicycle from Sha Tin to Tai Po for 2 or 3 years. Until I studied fine arts in this university. You know, fine arts, I just painting and writing. I spent more than 1 year to purposely train myself as part of the preparation for this trip. I start running every day and to build up my cardio strength and to boost my endurance. Well, since I'm undeniable a lazy boy, I saw the opportunity to attending races and marathons as form of my training. That was just the first step, a very important step. Actually eating the elephant, the preparation. In May 2016, I left home with White Dragon, the name of my bicycle, and started my long, long journey. The first week of the journey was very exciting, yet difficult. I needed to ride up to 80 kilometers per day, which was still very harsh after 1 year of training. Break. I need a break. I had it in the following week in a park in Guangdong. In there, I met this old man. Very funny old man. He didn't recognize I'm right on a backpack journey, and we share our story and share some life experience. Don't be lazy and don't be afraid of difficulties. And that's the way to succeed, he said to me. Very simple, but it was the best advice I have received. His words were embodied in my heart, and I carry it all the way to Africa. Don't be lazy, and don't be afraid of difficulties. 2 months after my first big milestone, Xi'an welcomed me. While passing through a small town near Xi'an, I met a local boy named Fei. I went with Faye back to his home. The moment we reached his home, he opened a gate. A swarm of flies flew out, millions of it. And there's something more, something that smells. Pigs. Faye is a pig farmer. Pig farmer feed pigs. As part of my journey, I had a chance to accompany him for his work. We cycle around the town to knocking every single restaurant and to collect the leftover kitchen waste, which was extremely heavy and smelled like, you know what? That's how I learned how to feed pigs. But what about Faye? Why did I mention about him and why I share his story? Like me, Faye was a cyclist too. A few years ago, Faye was based in Singapore for his studies. One day, he received a call from his family. He asking him to go back home to run his family business. Faye knew that once he goes back home, he will be staying there for quite a long time or even the rest of his life. He wanted to do one last crazy thing before going back home. In Singapore, he bought a bicycle and he cycled all the way back to Singapore, which is crazy like me. He told me that a lot of people helped him on his way, and that's why he wanted to help me too. Even I'm just a pig farmer. I'm also a person with stories. I'm also a person with dreams. So no matter who you are, if you have a dream, just go for it. He encouraged me. His story really touched my heart. Yes, I'm nobody. I'm not even good at sports, but I decided to continue this journey to cycle all the way to Africa. That's my dream, and I will keep moving, no matter how it takes and how hard it takes. After China, I reached Central Asia. I passed through Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, which is still my favorite part of my journey. They have the most beautiful scenery, friendly people, and fascinating culture. It's very common to be invited to strangers' home to have a meal or even stay overnight. I will not say it is completely safe, but thanks God, most of the people I met, they are very friendly and good. Well, of course, a 17-month journey were not entirely about good stuff. There were also unfortunate things that happened to me. White Dragon, my first bike, got stolen in Urumqi. I just went out for lunch and I locked the bike on a fence in front of the restaurant. Yes, it was locked. After around 1 hour, and I go back to look for my bike, it was gone, together with the lock. I was wondering, did I lock it somewhere else and I just go around, but no, White Dragon was gone. It was not just about money. You know, he was my closest partner for 3 months, and without him, I can go nowhere. I was really upset, but the show must go on. Luckily, I was still in a big city in China. It's easy to buy a new bike. This is my second bike. The name is Silver Eagle. It's actually a better mountain bike for the very bad road in Central Asia. Well, sometimes bad things comes good result. Now, Silver Eagle is still in my home. I rode it all the way until South Africa and took it back to Hong Kong. A big factor in a bike trip is weather. Riding in rain was a disaster. It was dangerous. But sometimes you just can't stop in the middle of nowhere. The only choice is to move on. What can be worse than raining? Snowing. I was in Georgia and Turkey during winter. Snowstorm came suddenly, and covering by snow is not the end of the story. The snow melts on your body, and it's just deadly freezing. Well, relatively, hotness may be better. I rode through the entire Sahara during summer. Yes, it is hot, extremely hot. The hottest day in my record is 51 degrees. Can you imagine riding a bicycle in the desert under the sun in a 51-degree desert for 10 hours a day? Almost everyone in Sudan were not sleeping indoors during summer. This is some project accommodation called Lokanda in Sudan. They had basic facility like common toilets and some bulk beds. But again, no one sleeps indoor. They took out the beds and sleep in the garden. It's just way too hot. Well, when I faced those accidents and difficulties and bad weathers, of course, there will be frustration. But that's not hard to find a solution. For me, the most difficult part of my journey is loneliness, never-ending loneliness. You may find beautiful pictures, interesting stories on my blog, but those are just the tip of an iceberg. Most of the time, it's just cycling, cycling, and cycling. I felt this kind of loneliness when I passed through the Saharan desert. I spent roughly around 2 months to pass through Egypt and Sudan in the desert, like 10 hours a day. When you look at the picture, there's this stunning and beautiful scenery. But when you look at the same thing for 10 hours a day, surely you will lose all your feelings. I started to talk to myself like mental disorder. I tried to listen to music, and at last I download some audiobooks and start to listen to the voice of Siri. I used to travel alone, but never felt that loneliness before. It was terrifying beyond your imagination. Someone asked me if I had the thought of giving up. I'm telling you, I thought of giving up like every day and in every hour. What am I doing here? Why I have to do something like this? Why wouldn't I just stay in my bed in Hong Kong? I often talk to myself like this. It was just so boring and lonely. But this is the way I chose to be myself. There's no turning back. As Walt Disney said, keep moving forward. So, back to the beginning. How do we eat an elephant? I never mentioned that. Yes, one bite at a time. After you start eating the elephant, just forget it is an elephant. It's just one small piece of meat every day. It may seem to be a long way to go, but just forget it. Try to be yourself and aim to finish the target one at a time. To reach the target destination with all your strength and might. After designing your final goal, begin setting up small milestones. Like me, my first milestone is Xi'an, not the Cape of Good Hope. Set aside the final goal and try your best to accomplish the small milestones, step by step, day by day. One day you will find that you're already at a spot beyond your imagination. That's how I reached South Africa on my bike. That's how I finished eating the elephant in 17 months. Small goals, step by step, day by day, one bite at a time. Finally, on October 2017, I reached my final destination that I decided 3 years ago, Cape of Good Hope. It was also the same milestone from hundreds of European ships that was able to pass through. And now it is my personal milestone, my very own adventure. I used to store this photo, the Cape of Good Hope, in my phone, but at that moment, It was right in front of my eyes. I arrived! I held my bike high in the sky and yelled, I did it. I'm not someone special. I'm just an ordinary boy that grew up in Hong Kong and studied in this university. I'm not good at sports, but I did it. I cycled all the way from Hong Kong to South Africa. You have your own way. You have your own elephants to eat. Decide your final goal. Set up small milestones. And set aside the final goal. Just forget it. You go step by step, day by day, one bite at a time. Yeah, there will be difficulties, like losing your bike, raining, snowing, and a 51-degree desert. And it will be lonely, but just keep moving. One day, you'll find that the elephant is in your stomach. And that's a kind of story worth sharing. Thank you.